My goal was to start a business by 30. And then now my next goal is to make the Fab 40.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, man, dude, if you do it in that square footage, that's going to be a story and a half.
I did the math. I think I can maybe get to 15, 18 in that square footage. But
wow, that's awesome.
Or are we keeping that part in so you're obligated to it?
I'll get it. I don't.
That's a
I don't
public
miss.
commitment now.
Yeah, I don't miss gold. So.
It's summer, and that means camp season for nuts, bolts, and thingamajigs. Introducing young people to manufacturing and skilled trades, these hands-on, high-tech programs are not your typical summer camps. Campers expand their minds and develop new skills in design, welding, fabricating, engineering, and more. Support the future of manufacturing and sign up to host or attend a camp today. For more information, visit fmamfg.org/foundation.
Hello, welcome to the Fabricator Podcast. My name is Dan Davis, editor of the Fabricator magazine. My friend here is
Lincoln Brunner. Good to be back.
Yes, and on today's episode we have Matt Brunner.
No relation.
Brunner Fabrication, not related to Lincoln Brunner.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Yes.
Nice guy nonetheless.
Yeah.
There's been some talk about a 23andMe
yes,
ancestry test.
Yeah, we could do that. It might be a big expense for nothing, but
yeah.
I took a piece of gum out of Lincoln's garbage can. I sent it in without his knowledge. So.
On a future episode, we'll have the results, and we'll have Maury Povich come on and
that's right.
that envelope.
With the envelope.
Yep.
He seems to think there's royal lineage in his line, and I'm pretty sure that does not exist in mine.
Fall.
So I think we're going back a long way to find
what
any.
kingdom would this royal lineage be attached to?
Something German, supposedly.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. Detlef Schrempf is the king of Germany.
Detlef
What does that mean? I don't know. Anyway, so I think you'll enjoy this conversation as Mr. Brunner has really found a nice little niche in the metal fabricating market. And,
Robust niche, yes.
Yeah, and he's executing his vision to the utmost potential. It's just a bunch of words together. Anyway, he's very successful.
Yeah.
Also, welcome to a new friend at the Fabricator Podcast, Griffin Hammond.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a part of it and helping this thing work.
Yeah.
Griffin has joined FMA as what is the title you have?
Video content producer.
Yes, but he's done much more than that. Yes.
Yeah.
He's worked on a lot of different projects, spent some time with Bloomberg, and I think, I guess one of the more interesting things you've shared with us is your work on a documentary on the hot garlic
sauce.
chili. What am I trying to say?
Sriracha.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, and when did that come out?
I made that in 2013.
Yeah, so he was there on a Sriracha, right at the Sriracha, beginning of the Sriracha craze.
You're burying the lead, man. You've got all kinds of presidential campaigns in your portfolio. And
Yeah, I covered the 2016 election for Bloomberg News and the 2020 election for a company called The Recount. I did a little bit of work on this election, too, for MSNBC.
Now he's in the Midwest working on the Fabricator Podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
so obviously the pinnacle of your career right now.
What
This
he was
is where I
aiming
feel
for.
at home, in a studio with lights, cameras. I love all this.
Just wait. It's your first day.
And he wasn't on the next episode.
Nice of you to join us that one time.
No, you did a really cool documentary called, or like a short doc called Argon.
Yeah.
Right.
Argon, about argon gas and neon lights.
Oh, wow.
It's really cool. Worth checking out.
So, yes, all you fans of argon, not so much neon being used in metal fabricating industry, but hey.
Do we want to talk about something else that's cool?
that is the smoothest transition ever.
Segue.
So we had some comments from a fan, Clayton, out in California.
Yeah, Santa Barbara.
And that's a nice area from what I've heard.
Yeah.
I'm usually not allowed in nice areas. But he is a fabricator for, what's the name of his business?
It's a Gnarwhal Creations
Gnarwhal.
on Instagram.
Who didn't like Gnarwhals?
Very cool.
But he does a lot of aftermarket work for things like off-road trucks and
Suspensions.
suspension system, things like that. But he also decided to take a crack at some metal art.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, you can tell somebody has skills when something like this turns out pretty nice on the first try.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, how much time does he have into it?
He said 100+ hours.
100+ hours,
I think.
His vision for the tentacles for the octopus with those chains is it's very elegant. I like that.
He said he opened up a shop when he was 20, and he was a certified scuba diver since he was 14.
Huh.
So it's kind of all comes together here.
Yeah. Octopus is an interesting choice in the sense that, who's doing metal fabrications of octopus or octopi? But man, they're supposed to be really smart, and it's like one of those deals where like
they're aliens.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you watch a documentary on them and like. Yeah. I don't know. I feel that's why I don't watch documentaries on pigs. Like I don't want to. It makes me kind of feel bad that they're having to be lower on the food chain I subscribe to.
They're vicious too, pigs.
Vicious and
they say never trust a person who owns a pig farm.
Well, I mean that's collectively. Yeah. You're gonna criminalize just one pig?
read Animal Farm. You'll incriminate all pigs after reading that book.
But this
just remember, humans are just animals with pants. So
true.
There you go.
But yeah, he said all the body work on this octopus is plating with flat plate, hand formed, used brass for the eyes, silicone bronze for the head texturing, and the chains that kind of form the frame of it.
I really dig the function of the piece as well, kind of holding that lantern. That's something I would
yes.
I literally would put up in our living room.
Well, he's looking for a buyer. So Dan,
put your bid in now.
We'll get back to you, Clayton.
I'm looking for an anniversary gift, and I'm told a Fabricator T-shirt or Fabricator Podcast T-shirt is not exactly the best gift.
Well, so kudos to Clayton too for the texturing he did on the octopus body, because some people might shy away from tackling that level of detail on a sculpture, but he's really, I mean, the webbing between the tentacles and all that is you can tell where a lot of the hours went. He's got a lot of work just getting that, look at, just sort of picture perfect there. And
he said he entered this into the 2004 World Art Awards, and I think by the time this episode is released, it'll have been announced, so hopefully he won.
Yes.
And
I'm yes.
Dan was
pleased that he decided to concentrate on an animal actually working.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we like anything that contributes to a more relaxed setting because of somebody's effort.
Yeah. But Clayton says this is his first crack at doing metal art, and I got to say that's pretty impressive first go.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, if you've got something you're working on, shoot us a note. Maybe we'll share it on the Fabricator Podcast.
Love to.
Until then, please enjoy this episode.
Where can they email us?
They can email us at, that's a rude interruption. They can email us at podcast@fmamfg.org. Or they can reach Gareth's private home number at
815.
Oh, jeez.
555-23. No. What's that? How's the 1-800-231? Oh, I'm trying to think of the Empire. No,
2300 Empire
carpet commercial.
988-2300.
There you go.
The Car for Kids song.
Again, off the rails. All right. Enjoy this episode of the Fabricator Podcast with Matt Brunner of Brunner Fabrication.
So long.
And they're not related. Bye-bye.
Don't miss your chance to see the latest in metal fabrication solutions at the Fabricators Technology Summit, August 20th and 21st in the Chicagoland area. This exclusive event, hosted by FMA, offers opportunities to visit local shops, see the latest equipment in action, and network with others in the industry. Visit fmamfg.org for more information. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back to the Fabricator Podcast. Matt, would you care to begin this conversation with telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into how Brunner Fabrication started?
Okay, Matt Brunner. I'm from Wisconsin, Brillion, small town of Brillion. I've been in metal fabricating my whole life. My dad had a body shop when I was a kid, and then so did my grandpa. So I've been working with, metal frames and metal body panels, stuff like that my whole life. Worked my way up through a couple companies and started my own thing.
Is it easier to get involved with metal fabricating where you are? Because it seems like there's a bunch of companies up there.
Oh, metal fabricating's everywhere up in Wisconsin, even by us. My shop is in Manitowoc, and you got probably 25 shops around the area. Not really competition. They're kind of smaller mom and pop shops. We do high volume, but it's everywhere.
Well, that area has got quite the legacy of manufacturing, right? Back in World War II, you've got the Manitowoc Shipbuilding Company with the submarines, and then progressing through to the Manitowoc Company with the ice makers
and cranes.
A lot of cranes. Yep. So there's a pretty rich heritage there to build off of. Do you guys serve any of those legacy companies?
Well, Manitowoc Cranes moved. I think they went to like Pennsylvania or something, but we kind of target really high volume work.
Okay.
So places like Aaron's company, who's 20 minutes from us, and they're actually located in my hometown. That's where I grew my career big time. I was there for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you providing parts for snowblowers, things like that?
Lawnmowers.
Lawnmowers.
Yep.
Okay.
We help the lawnmower. Most of the snowblower stuff is all presses, stamping presses.
I see.
So.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah. So the Fabricator, I did the story.
We're a collective.
Our good friend Gareth Slanger worked on that story back in 2018. And man, y'all were just getting started. Give us a little bit of background about what prompted you to want to kind of do your own thing, and how where your dad was at that time kind of made sense to do that.
Yeah, so going back, I was at the Aaron's company for, I think it had to be almost 6 years, and I worked my way up. I was just a laser operator when I started, worked my way up through, and I was the tech, and then I was the manufacturing engineer. Eventually, I started in that manufacturing engineer role. I started realizing the outsourcing that takes place.
Right.
So I'm like, So I actually had a meeting with Dan Aarons one time, and I talked to him last year, and he remembered the meeting. I told him, I said, someday I'm going to be cutting your parts.
Wow.
And last year, I think we were their highest volume supplier for sheet metal parts.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that wasn't very long ago.
No, it wasn't. And they were actually one of our first customers that helped us really get moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess how it all started was my dad came to me one night and invited me over for dinner, me and my wife, and said that he's going to retire from the autobody business. He had an autobody shop for 20 years. I think he started in 2000, maybe before 1999, something like that. And he's like, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go work at Lowe's. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. That's a little bit of step down. He was just tired of the insurance companies controlling everything with the body work and the accidents. So I'm like, well, let's start a fab shop. And I did a business plan. I had all the contacts and
like right there at the dinner table.
Yeah, right. And he's like, okay, let's figure it out. So
wow.
Yeah, I did.
He'd
my
been
own
just like thinking about it in your head.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a long time. Like, yes, my wife. Since the day we've met, I've been talking about having my own fabrication business. I've always done it, race cars and stuff. So, yeah.
That's a Brunner for you.
Yeah.
I was thinking ahead.
Oh, you knew this was
Should we
gonna
address
come up.
the?
He's doing us proud right here.
Let's keep track of that. That's one.
It's gonna get really awkward by about 15 minutes. He's gonna ask you for a job.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Hey, here's my card.
So I remember looking back at that story that Gareth wrote. One of my favorite parts of it is just mentally seeing the transition from an auto body shop becoming a fab shop. Can you kind of describe the effort and the numbers of people you got involved in trying to make that happen?
I think we had every Brunner.
Yes.
Aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, even
That's
neighbors.
who called me. That's right.
Yeah. It took us a good 2 weeks solid of hard work to completely strip that body shop. We had 20 years of dust and sanding dust in the rafters, and we had a paint room, an explosive paint room, all concrete block we had to take out. So it took a while, and we had everybody involved.
Yeah. What was the footprint of that facility?
40 by 60 when we started.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you're still there?
Same facility, but we added on 3 times.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. What are how much square footage are you sitting at now?
12,000 right now.
Okay.
Well, 11,999. Because if you hit 12,000, you need fire suppression.
Oh.
and
wow.
then the DNR said we need a retention pond if we pass 12,000. So we're like, oh. Yeah.
It really, I mean, that really is kind of like small business thinking. You know what I mean? There's all these benchmarks where it just gets a little bit more complicated.
Exactly.
So you got to be aware of it.
And that's why we invested in that 24 is because we had to produce more parts in a small footprint. So that's what we went for.
Yeah, talk about that 24. We were talking before we got on the air here about how much you're pushing that machine.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe start with why, maybe start with what, but what are you guys doing that you're able to get so much volume out of one laser?
That's 24 kilowatt.
Yeah, 24 kilowatt. Yeah, we actually purchased one of the pre-release machines from Trump.
Okay.
Before it was actually released to public.
Wow.
But that was the thing with the square footage is we had it maxed out.
Right.
We couldn't go any bigger unless you're talking, $1 million investment for fire suppression and a retention pond. So I went to Trump and I was like, how can we put out, 4, 5, 6x what we're doing in the same footprint? And then that's when we got on the path with the 24 kilowatt.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's kind of a tight design in terms of, parts coming out that conveyor.
Correct.
It kind of, did you have to make room for it, or
Nope.
did it kind of fit a space you had?
It literally, we took the 6 kilowatt out and it set in the exact same spot. It was like 4 inches wider just because of the automation was a little bit wider.
Same pad, same.
Yep.
And
Same exact pad. We didn't have to change anything. Same nitrogen drops, everything.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. How quickly did you get up and running?
So install started, I think, mid-October, and then we had power to it in December, and then we started full production, I would say, mid-January into January.
Wow.
well, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in terms of material and also output in order to achieve the output that you have.
Yeah. To go back a little bit, I'd give the props to my guys.
Yeah.
Everybody in our shop, we only have 6 employees, and everyone in our shop except for one is not formally trained in fabrication.
Oh, wow.
None of them. One guy, he pumped porta potties for a living. Another guy was a maintenance mechanic. Another guy was a diesel mechanic. We only have Andrew, our welder. He is the only one that was formally trained in welding.
Huh.
But so we brought them in, and I interviewed them, and I hired them based on their work ethic and talking to them, because
Absolutely.
they didn't really have any fabrication skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I trained them all in house.
Yeah, and you were able to teach them pretty quickly, I take it.
Correct, yeah. And now Trump uses our benders. We have 2 press brakes. Trump uses them as examples with their customers on what we can output.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah, like industry standard for bending is like 350 bends an hour.
Mhm.
We do like 800.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What allows that to happen?
Programming and our employees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just really showed an ability to grasp the whole process.
Yeah, and they're all younger,
Mhm.
20, 21, 23 in that range. But a lot of the younger generation, and I'm still kind of a younger generation.
I was going to say,
Well, in this room, yes.
you're talking to the 50-year-old miscreants.
You know what?
crowd.
Let me edit that. On camera, yes.
But they, Trump's equipment nowadays it's like a smartphone. You're swiping 5 fingers does this. You swipe with 2 fingers does this. So they grasped it like that. And then we do all offline programming. So when it gets to the bender or the laser or the weld robot, it's ready to go. You test your first part and you go.
Yeah.
So
That's very cool. And again, doing the talk beforehand, we don't often hear about 24 kilowatt lasers being used for material as thin as you put across that.
correct.
Most people are thinking, quarter inch, half inch, and above for a 24 kilowatt. Tell us a little bit about what you've been putting across and how you're able to pull off that kind of volume with that.
And I would actually say that most people that put a 24 kilowatt in are setting it next to an 8K, 12K,
Right.
and they're running 3/4 inch and thicker.
Right.
It'll cut 2-inch stainless.
Yeah.
So that's what everyone's using for. We didn't do that. That's our only laser.
Right.
So we're running 7 gauge, 10 gauge, 16 gauge.
Wow.
In super high volume, where we did a big job for a customer a couple months ago, and we were running 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 pounds per hour of 10 and 7.
Wow. Carbon or stainless? Or
Carbon.
Carbon, yeah.
So, you're running truckloads and truckloads per day.
Wow.
At that volume.
How are you able to get, not to put Manitowoc down by any means, but, how are you able to get that kind of volume production work where you are?
I would say there only 3 to 5% of our customer base is in Manitowoc. Most of it is like within an hour.
Yeah.
Fox Valley.
Yeah, Fox Valley,
Minnesota.
Green Bay.
We get up to Minnesota?
Minnesota's like 4 hours, so
Okay.
not really. No, everything's around here. High volume OEMs.
Milwaukee, or just mostly Fox Valley.
We have one customer down near Milwaukee.
Yeah. Wow. So you're getting these high volume jobs and consistently putting across. What kind of consumables are you going through with that kind of volume?
Nothing.
Really?
No, like on our last laser, we had nozzles that were in there for 3 years, and we never even changed it.
Wow.
So I do all the programming, all of
Okay.
it, and I'm super hands-on. As soon as the operator tells me there's tip-ups happening or something, I'm there fixing it.
Yeah.
It's very. From my office, I can see the laser, I can see the brake presses, and I can see the weld robot.
Wow.
So.
Well, there's only 6 of you, so
Yeah, exactly.
You got to be in there somewhere.
Yep. And one of them is actually temporary, not temporary, but a youth apprentice from the local high school.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the amount of material that's coming through your shop, are you running 3 shifts, or is this over 2?
2 shifts.
No kidding.
Yep. 5:30 in the morning we open up, and usually about 9:30, 10:30 at night we close.
Yeah. And is part sorting an issue for you?
No.
Really?
As soon as it comes off the laser, it goes on a pallet or even moves straight to the press brake.
Yeah. So I mean, really, it's almost just in time.
Yep. We run super
sense.
lean. So if I have a job on Thursday, that material's delivering Wednesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So at any time, I think the most we'll have is maybe 60, 70,000 pounds of metal on the floor.
Wow.
It comes in and it's gone.
Wow.
So very lean. And maybe share with us a little bit about your scheduling technique. How are you able to schedule that so tight and so reliably?
So the nice thing is we only do high volume. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You come in and you want 500 pieces, I probably won't talk to you. I'm not being a jerk or whatever.
Right,
but
right.
That's what we're good at. We're good at pushing through the most volume we can.
Yeah.
So scheduling isn't tough because you're talking 1, 3, 10 different part numbers.
Okay.
So at any point we might be running 7 different part numbers for a week.
Wow.
Super high volume.
Yeah.
What quantifies as volume you're not interested in?
I like to work with truckload volume, so 40,000 pounds.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Did you find yourself kind of unique where you are?
Super unique.
Yeah.
And nobody can put out the volume we can, so that's how we win a lot of customers.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my biggest selling points to these OEMs are I can produce the part better and faster than you can.
Mm-hmm.
And usually cheaper.
Right.
More cost effective for the customer.
I think that resonates with a lot of people.
Correct.
Is there enough business chasing that keeps things diversified?
It's easy. They kind of find us now, you know what I
Really?
mean? So
You get a name out there.
yeah, correct. And it's, when we started, we were calling these larger
Right.
metal fabricators asking for work to get us going, and now they ask us for work, and we're a 15th of their size.
Right.
Some of them,
Right.
Yeah.
It helps when you first start. You get a feature in the Fabricator magazine.
It is.
Exactly.
Well, that's the kick that most
Are
people
you taking
need.
credit for all this?
Hey, I think I kicked off your career.
Nicely played.
Very neutral.
Wow. Yes, the Slager gets a little bit of comeuppance here.
So before we get back at it, you also have a robotic laser. Or, I'm sorry, robotic welder.
Correct.
That how's that? I mean, is that something you got into because of the lack of welding experience on staff, or just productivity?
No, our welder's real good, and he's certified, but it's productivity. So
Yeah.
you can take your best hand welder, and a robot's going to 3x what his output is.
Right.
So lot of welders where I came from at Aaron's and stuff, when you bring in robots, they get kind of upset.
Sure.
Andrew, our welder, he was on board. We brought him down here to Chicago. He learned how to run it, and now he's phenomenal at it.
No kidding. And it really ties in with the kind of the business model as well, I guess.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Square footage in your facility now? How tight is it?
It's
12.
12,000.
I mean, is it tight? I mean,
No, it's
you got room then,
it's
huh?
tight, but
Yeah.
So we're actually looking at a 70/30, so we can fit that in there.
Will you keep that as your old 24K as well when you get the
I'll
70/30?
keep both of them, yeah.
No kidding. Wow. Now, we might as well talk about that. 70/30 is kind of unique in terms of what it can deliver. Can you kind of describe it for people not familiar with that machine?
Yeah,
tool?
so it's like a self-contained laser where the automation is actually built inside of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Loading, unloading, everything.
yeah, so you're limited to like I think 1/2-inch steel, which is good for us because we live in that 1/4, 7, 10, 16. But you put a bundle of steel in it, you hit start, and it will unload and stack all of the parts onto pallets inside the machine. And then smaller parts, I think it's like 6-inch window, 8-inch maybe, they'll sort it into bins down below. It'll drop through it.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing, yeah. So you can run lights out. You can run during the day where you just need a forklift operator to pretty much load steel and unload steel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the nice thing about it is it cuts clean and fast. There's only 2 hours of maintenance they're saying per week.
Wow.
So
And what would that entail?
just greasing some stuff and
No kidding.
that's
That's
it.
it,
Cleaning
huh?
out the slug trays, yeah.
Wow.
I'm interested to hear about the one thing that we've talked to other laser operators about is the sort of like maybe the last frontier of like true automation is part picking out of nests and things like that.
Yep.
How do you guys handle that? How does that work for perhaps smaller parts or parts that don't quite pop out as easily as others?
Yeah, so things like that, like we do a couple runs for some of our customers where it's 3,000 small stainless pieces on a sheet, and you
Yeah.
put a micro joint in that. With stainless, it's hard to break.
Yeah.
So we developed a thing with an air hammer that takes it out, and you can unload that sheet in like a minute, because then you just run the belt down into the boxes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that some nests like 16 gauge, 18 gauge, it gets tough because you're talking a full sheet of parts takes a minute and 13 seconds, where the automation can't even keep up because it's so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing for our 70/30 if we decide
Yeah.
to go that route.
Yeah.
Oh, so now you got some alternative plays for the type of jobs you have to do.
Yep.
Huh. How many people from the family are still involved in the business? Besides Lincoln here.
That's two.
The big thing is I would say for family, my wife is a huge supporter for me. So at night, I'm unloading my whole day and I'm telling her about my customers. So that's a huge help for me.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
got 3 boys that we're trying to bring up in the industry too. So-
Right. So when you started, it was like the youngest was 1,
Yeah.
correct? And the
Yeah.
oldest was 6 or 9.
I think it was 6.
Okay.
Now they're old enough to
He's
be running a
11,
laser.
Yeah. So we got 11, 8, and 7 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah. my dad. So my goal for the shop in the beginning was to get my dad Chris to retirement,
Yeah.
because 20 years 30 years in the automotive industry, your body's
Right.
pretty beat up. So he retired about 2 years ago. So that was my goal, and it was his original building, so that's his retirement. I'm paying for the building back to him for his retirement. So, and then my mom Tracy, she was in the trucking industry, which actually helps a lot. She was a broker, so she does all of our freight, but she also does all our book work, so it works good. And then my wife works at the school now, but she's actually coming on board because we're growing so fast. She's coming on board full time again, because she was full time before, but then she had to take care of our kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's coming back on board this summer, so
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
yeah,
Yeah, the kids are in school and
Yeah.
helps out a little bit.
it's fun.
Pretty soon they'll be running the shop. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna
That's
say,
the
are
plan.
you envisioning like a multi-generational family ownership?
That's what I'd like to do. Yeah, that's my goal. So my goal was to own a business by 30. I think I was 29 when we started it. So, yeah.
So when you started out, did you necessarily have the business model in mind, like the high volume type
High
work?
volume, yeah.
So you knew having worked at Aaron's, did that kind of influence that decision making?
Yeah, I worked at Aaron's, and then Alliance Laundry actually recruited me, and I worked for Alliance Laundry for a year before I started this. And in my interview, I told them I'm going to be starting this. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're both super high volume. You know,
Yeah,
Alliance
yeah.
Laundry does Speed Queen, all the
Right there, yeah.
all the washers and dryers for
Yeah.
Laundromats.
So watching the amount of outsourcing that was taking place,
Yeah.
even though they had, I think they had like 6 lasers or something
Yeah.
at Alliance, and then I think Aaron's up to like 14 or 16 lasers now.
Yeah.
They can't keep up with their
You
own
still
business.
can't keep up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I was like, I can do it. You
Yeah.
know, I work hard, and that's what me and my dad did at first, and my wife and everybody. We worked real hard by ourselves on an old CO2 laser, putting out what people on fibers were doing.
Yeah. Did you, so to meet that goal of being a high volume business, you really thought you needed that laser right away?
Yeah,
That was like a must have.
correct. Yeah,
That's not an easy purchase for a new business.
it's not.
How'd you swing that?
It was tough. So in my business plan, I laid out like 5 years, and we actually hit it dead on every year. Sales goals, expansion, stuff like that. To get the original loan to get started, it was only like $120,000 or something.
Right.
It was impossible.
Yeah.
They wanted everything. They wanted our houses as collateral, everything, and we're like,
Wow.
let's do it.
Wow.
No
So
kidding.
we
You
put
did
up
it.
we put up everything,
Wow.
and then
Wow.
this last year, 2023, when we expanded again, which was a tall expansion, so the price was up there. But then, and by 24K and all the other, electrical and stuff we needed, you're talking $3 million.
Yeah.
My bank now, I sent them that, like, yep, no problem, here you go.
No kidding.
No questions. It was like a week.
Yeah. So it's an example of having to prove yourself, but once you prove yourself, your financial backers kind of like fall in line.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
nice to have a good trusted bank relationship like
Yeah.
that though as well.
We actually had to change banks from our original bank because they said we were growing too fast and they couldn't handle the volume of cash flow.
What?
Yeah. So we went from a local bank, and now we're with a big national bank.
Oh, wow.
That's
Wow.
fantastic.
Well, I guess honesty. You'd rather have honesty than have problems, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of my other favorite parts when the business was getting started, and Gareth kind of led with it in his feature, was that your dad and yourself, you mentioned you like working on cars as well, but he had like a 1935, I don't know the make. Yeah. Is that still around?
No, we sold that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it only went like 18 miles an hour, so it didn't really work for
Anything?
All right.
No, it was just cool to have.
Leave it to me to love something that makes no sense.
18 miles an
It's
hour.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's
Look at
all
those
original.
fenders.
Yeah. That do you have time to do stuff like that anymore?
Yeah. So me and the kids, I try to dedicate, a half hour to an hour each night, hang out with the kids, and we work on my car. So I have a 79 Buick Regal that should be running by the end of the year, but
No kidding.
it'll make like 2,500 horse.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's not like Hearst transmission, is it?
No, it's like a 427 LS with a big turbo on it and a parachute hanging out the back, and it's a street car. So.
How often do you deploy the parachute?
Yeah, you have to sometimes. I won't talk about that one.
I think you just did.
You'll have to go to the fabricator.com paywall to get to that.
Right, yeah.
We were in Two Rivers one night and used all of the street. Let's put it that way.
It's going
Exactly.
to be ripping up and down the FMA parking lot after this.
Yeah.
We're going to get some video of that, put it up on social media, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So one thing I'm really curious about, Matt, is as a small business person, and we talk to a lot of small business people who are really feeling the skilled labor squeeze. Someone who's trying to, got their eye on expansion, somebody who's been putting out a lot of steel. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Is it something you even lose sleep over, given?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I can train anybody to do it. Like, I've trained my wife to run the press brake, run the laser. If I really wanted to, I could have my 11-year-old run the laser. It's that, what you're really looking for is not skilled labor. You're looking for work ethic. That's my opinion. I think it was my great grandpa told me when I was a kid was because he had I don't remember what his business was, but he said, if I pick you up by the ears and hold you in the air, your feet better still be moving. That's the type of person that I want. So that's what I look for when I interview people. And
Is
actually,
it hard to pick people up like that?
yeah, it is. But
So there's a level of intimacy that's gained right away, though.
yeah,
No word spoken, just that first.
Exactly.
Hey, buddy, I'm yours.
yeah, yeah. I think the big thing is though is you need to hire for. You don't need the skills. You can teach the skills. You need the work ethic.
Yes.
And I think that's
agree.
where a lot of these companies are feeling that is something I always said is a lot of these big places are just, if you can fog a glass, you're hired. And that's not what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think the commitment to like modern equipment helps? Because, I've been in front of a press brake just for a moment, and it's the idea that I know to hold that piece of metal to that back gauge and not have that back gauge knock that piece of metal out. What I mean? It's not automatic.
Yeah.
But it definitely the reason they're asking me to do that is because they know the window's going to be short for me to get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if that was the case 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. No, I think that's another issue is a lot of people aren't investing in the new technology.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to do because in the beginning we couldn't compete with, companies like Musa or Mech or, stuff like that. And now sometimes they ask us for work.
No kidding.
Yeah. They can't compete with our pricing now.
Wow. So your vision has come to fruition. When you first got started, you reached part of Gareth's story once again. You reached out to some fabricators that you had read about somewhere. I assume it's a fabricator.
Yeah.
We'll just say for the fabricator for the sake of this podcast. But you had a kind of early conversation with them. Are people reaching out to you, having those same conversations?
Asking for work, yeah. And one of our customers, we landed a really big job, and they had everyone check the pricing, had everyone quote it, and we ended up getting it. And I'm not going to say the name, but a very large company called them and said, "Hey, we really want that job. What do we got to do?" Well, what's Brunner's price? And they told them, like, we can't do that. There's no way.
Wow.
And we're making good money on it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just our throughput and efficiency is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your business plan, I mean, is this what you envisioned the business being when you first sat down with your dad over dinner?
Yeah, it's dead on. Wow. Exactly. Even I was within 100,000 like every year on sales.
Do you think your background working for other companies gave you a leg up in terms of dialing in that business plan?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. That was my job for a while, was outsourcing, at Aaron's, trying to find these places, and I knew what we could make it for, and it really helped me because now I know what these OEMs can make their parts for, and I can beat that.
Yeah. Do you think you would have benefited coming up in a job shop environment?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because it's there's no repetition. You're not gaining.
Okay.
The thing about high volume is you might lose money the first month, but month 2, 3, 4, you're getting better, faster, and it's just going. When you're in a small job shop, you do this one part, it takes you an hour.
Yeah.
And you might never do it again.
Yeah. It's crazy to talk about. I mean, do you consider yourself a contract manufacturer?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess,
don't ask the man to label himself.
Can kind of be confining sometimes, but bottom line, it's pretty amazing you're pumping out as much as you are in such a small square footage.
Yeah.
Whereas I associate other contract manufacturers with much larger operations to take on a variety of stuff. So is your success kind of like, will you not touch something that's of a particular size? Does it have to fall? I know we talk about volume, but like a size range as well, and even complexity. How complex will you go?
We go complex, but you're kind of hitting the nail on the head with the size, because I don't want to cut 1-inch plate all day. My guys are going to be wore out unloading that stuff. So, we're running 7 and 10 is my favorite, because we can run it fast. It's not hard to unload. It's easy to bend. You're not killing the guys bending. Right. Easy to put in weld fixtures, stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you say no to a lot of people?
Yes.
Wow.
A lot. And I teamed up, well, when I started, there was another company called JR Metalworks. They're in Kewanee, just half hour from me. And he actually showed up at my shop one day, and we just opened, and he just opened. And we talked business for like 3 hours in my parking lot. and he is super low volume, like 1 piece, 2 piece.
And wants to be?
Yeah, and he has like 30 employees. It's might even be more, might be 50. I don't know now. But all the low volume stuff I send his way. And then he used to have me quote the high volume stuff, but now he just got a Trump fiber a couple months ago. So now he's still super low volume, but
Right.
Well, comparatively speaking, right?
yeah. So I do that now still to this day. Is I can't help you on this one.
Yeah.
But give JR Metalworks a call.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're scratching each other's backs,
Yeah.
but in a very, robust way and by way of, making business for each other, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you think is driving some of the push to seek your business, your services? Is it nearshoring? Is it just a robust economy in the Fox Valley area?
To be honest, I feel like everybody that's in the fabricated, in fabrication right now around us is actually slowing down.
Yeah.
And we're picking up.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to the labor shortage, I'm thinking these OEMs are seeing a labor shortage, and steel price was up for a while. Now it's starting to come back down.
Right.
And I've been real heavy on LinkedIn and pushing our customers. I can make this part for you cheaper, better, more consistent. And I think that's what's helping us.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you really hit the technology curve at a really good time? Because it seemed, just hearing you talk about, you're the guy who's taken full advantage of the 24 kilowatt technology.
Correct.
And using it to its full advantage. It just seems like it's sort of serendipitous for you, given the size you are and the business model you have. Wow, now you've got this tool. Is that a correct read?
Correct. Yeah, that was our goal since day one, is to stay ahead of the technology curve. You don't want to be behind.
Right.
And that's going back to my other point, was I think these bigger contract manufacturers, they're not investing in the new technology that they should be.
Well, you hopped up from 6 to 24 kilowatt, and not that the wattage is everything, but that's a testimony to your willingness to take a risk on yourself, right?
Correct. There's not many people that are going to go spend $2.5 million on a laser. Even these big companies, they're not spending that kind of money on one laser.
Yeah. Would you share your annual sales volume?
We should be at 8 to 10 million this year, depending how it goes.
And how many employees?
6.
Wow. So have you considered automated bending at all?
Yes. That is our next move if we go with the 70-30, because I want to put it right across from the 70-30. So as we unload parts out of the machine, we set it there, hit start on the robot.
Oh, wow. And how much more do you think you'll be able to process with such a device? Does it really kind of
it's
open up new capacity windows for you?
It's nice because we can stay at the same amount of people. But lights out, right now bending is kind of our bottleneck.
Yeah.
Sure. We have 2 press brakes from Trump, but it's still kind of a bottleneck because our 24K can push out the parts so fast.
Right.
But yeah, I think, like I told Gareth in our first interview, first article, was my goal was to start a business by 30, and then now my next goal is to make the Fab 40.
Yeah. Wow, man, dude! If you do it in that square footage, that's gonna be a story and a half.
I did the math. I think I can maybe get to 15, 18 in that square footage. But
wow, that's awesome.
Or are we keeping that part in, so you're obligated to
I'll get it.
That
I don't.
list.
That's a
I don't
public
miss.
commitment now.
Yeah, I don't miss gold. So
There you go.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, we talked in 2020. It's right when the pandemic hit. And you said you didn't miss a beat.
no.
What's been the biggest curveball over the last 6 years? Because you seem like you're right on track with your plan.
Yeah, we're right on track. There hasn't really knock on wood. Yeah, there's hasn't really been a curveball. When times got tough during COVID, we ramped up because the OEMs didn't have their employees coming to work.
Right.
So we were still feeding the ones that were still coming to work for them.
You filled the gap.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We didn't shut down one day.
Not one.
Not one.
Wow. You'd mentioned an intern.
Yeah.
How'd that come about? That's kind of interesting because one of the things that we assume, I shouldn't say we, I assume that way if I make a ass out of me. But small companies got a lot on their plates, but have to go out and like make a connection with a local teacher or department head at a school. It takes a little bit of time. A lot of people don't have it, but you're kind of a smaller size business. How did your intern come about?
It was super easy for us. So we're located in Manitowoc. I graduated high school in Manitowoc.
Lincoln?
At Manitowoc Lincoln.
Yep.
And they have
Number
an
3.
awesome metal fab shop and wood shop and automotive shop. And that's where I lived in high school. I was in there, I'd get in trouble from my mom because I was skipping school. But I wasn't skipping school. I was in the metal shop.
Yeah.
Welding, or in the automotive shop working on my truck.
Learning things.
That's what I did. So I went to school and graduated with a guy named Kyle Wagner. He ended up going to school, and now he's the metals teacher and automotive teacher at Lincoln.
Nice.
So he's like, hey, do you mind if we start coming through on a visit every year? So every year since our second year, their metals class comes and tours our facility, and I show them the new technology and talk to them. I didn't know I needed or wanted a youth apprentice.
Right.
But there was a guy named Teddy, awesome guy, big mullet, cool, real cool.
Automatic sign.
Yeah, dirt bike rider, cool guy. And
Give me the mullet.
so we had like 20 kids in there for the tour, and we did the tour, and nobody was paying attention except for Teddy.
Huh.
So then, all right, time to go, say bye. Everybody leaves but Teddy. I'm like, how's it going? Talking to him. He's like, would you ever want to do a youth apprenticeship? I was like,
He actually asked you that?
yeah.
Wow.
I was like, 100%. Come back next week and I'll give you an interview. And he came back, and rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the work ethic came through just in the first question. Huh?
Exactly. Just him watching and paying attention to everything I was showing
You
them.
bet.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
Teddy still in school?
Yep. He's a junior.
Junior. Wow. So this conversation happened when he was a sophomore?
Yeah.
Wow.
Does he still have the mullet?
Yes. It's
That's commitment,
It's
so he's a
longer. It's longer.
The what like is his interest? The entire business, or does he like
everything?
kind of the welding
He does
aspect of it?
everything.
Yeah.
So he doesn't weld. We want to teach him the robot yet,
Mhm.
but we still haven't filled the capacity on that thing. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But he goes everywhere, bend, laser.
So he works with y'all like in the afternoon?
So Mondays and Wednesdays he's there all day.
So it's like a formal apprenticeship.
Because
then, huh?
he gets credit for school,
That's awesome.
and then on Fridays he works a half day.
Oh wow.
Helps that you know the teacher.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that says something in terms of like someone knowing the industry and then is able to kind of lean on whether it be connections or friends to kind of introduce that to his students. And and that's the interesting disconnect, because I know we've seen a pendulum swing in terms of people like not automatically going to college, parents and kids not wanting to pay for 4-year school debt.
Yep.
But at the same time, the kids that may consider like a career in metal fabricating don't really have a background in it. It's not like they're working on cars as much as they once did. It's like
Exactly.
you described, gaming and more
Yep.
computers. It's like, you saw Teddy's light come on. It just makes me wonder whether it'll come on for other kids, or they don't recognize it until like they need a gig.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I've been trying to do is, even with my employees, like every one of my employees can run any machine and do any process in the shop. I think that's also a big thing for us. But I try to find the ones that want to learn, want to grow,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to do with Manitowoc Lincoln. Is I have them come in every year, and
Yeah.
I show them the technology. I let them touch it and see the laser, and
Right.
and I think you can see the ones where it's like, whoa, and you
So
can
it
see the
does.
ones.
It's more than Teddy. Then.
Yeah, it's more than Teddy, but
And that kind
Yeah.
of ethos, I think, probably engenders interest, and they start talking to their friends about, hey, did you see this? I'm thinking about going down there. What do you think?
yeah,
And they
exactly.
instead of you having to push everything, just plant a seed here and there, right?
Yep. And, there's a lot of the fab shops around us are still real old school, dark, smoky.
Yeah.
So when they see, that's what I thought it was back in the day.
Sure.
Mhm.
Because we had, in Manitowoc, we had, Wisconsin Aluminum Foundry, foundries. That's,
Right.
That's what Smokies it gets.
yeah. And that's how I thought of it. And I didn't want to be like that. So you go in our shop, it's spotless. Our one press brake's been there 5 years, and it looks like it just came off the showroom floor.
Wow.
That's awesome, considering how much cleaning was involved to try to get that place going.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're going to need everyone back in to clean the press brake, please.
Yep.
in a way, that do you have customers come through your shop a lot?
All the time.
Yeah, I wonder if it's almost a kind of a part of the sales effort.
Yeah,
To like see them how you do things with the modern equipment.
Yeah, and competitors.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't scare me at all.
Really?
No. I like to show it off. I like to, because then they lean on you too when they're in a tight spot. I did a lot of work with Musa. I did a lot of work for them in the beginning and stuff like that.
Well, they've seen what you're capable of, and
exactly.
maybe even touched it.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Do you think that it kind of encourages more cooperation? I mean, I don't know in what ways. Maybe eventually y'all come together to support some kind of educational opportunity or something like that. But is it about competition, or do you feel like you're kind of doing your own thing and people have to catch up?
I think people think that they're competing with me. It's about competition, but I don't. It doesn't bother me. If my customer likes what I do and I'm doing them, a good service, they're not going to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there anything that kind of you see as a potential challenge, obstacle coming up?
Well, it's an election year, right?
Yeah.
So
it sounds like things are still kind of plowing ahead for you.
For us, but everybody else is slow.
Yeah. I've been hearing a little
Yeah,
bit of that.
you got even big OEMs like John Deere and stuff like that. They're slow. Everybody's slow.
Right. Is there in your conversations, do they feel like it's going to extend for the rest of the year, or maybe it'll pick up toward fall?
I don't know. The good thing is we're seeing steel come down finally. So maybe that's a good thing. But I think we'll be good. We're locked in with some really good customers that we do all their parts, and they're not going to slow down. So
do you have, with such good relationships, do you have access to like forecasts they share with you, so you have a good idea in terms of planning?
Correct. Yeah, I got forecasts through 2025 for a couple of our big customers.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
It helps with steel and knowing when to order. And
I mean, tell us about your sourcing a little bit. Like, I mean, how far out are you able to set prices for your raw material?
The nice thing, we are in a lot of buying programs too. Okay. So with our big OEMs, we get their price.
Oh, wow.
So when steel goes up or steel goes down, they already see that. So they're expecting me to raise or lower their price. So it's every quarter I'm updating, and they don't, it doesn't bother them because I'm following their pricing.
Wow.
Huh.
Wow. So what are your expectations for the next, I want to say, 18 months to the end of 2025? I mean, you're talking about wanting to expand, wanting to get. I mean, are you keeping that optimistic outlook in terms of your business?
Correct. Yeah, I'm super optimistic. We're just going to keep growing. We're almost to the point where we might need to add another employee, but what we can do with a single employee is ridiculous. And in our industry, it's what $200,000-$300,000 per employee in sales. We're over $1 million. So you add an employee, that's a big expansion for us. So right now we're looking at maybe a little bump out that's not attached to our building, because then we won't get hit with the fire suppression. But I think we could hit some really big numbers in that 12,000 square feet with the equipment we got.
Wow. Do you see, with your optimism, your bullishness on the market, perhaps seeing your customer concentration grow a little bit?
Yeah, it's
growing. Let's just say after you've been on the Fabricator podcast, you might be getting some calls.
Yeah, no, it's already growing. It grows, every couple months. We add another. I like to call them whale customers, the bigger ones, and that's what we're looking for. Partnerships like that, and it's just going to keep going.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of you assume high volume is not where people want to be in business because of the pressures with the larger companies, but it seems like that's your sweet spot. And I wonder if maybe people are missing out. And do you see that in terms? Do you see like other competitors replicating what you're doing in your near area?
I'm not seeing it unless you're a big stamping house.
Yeah.
But even we're getting work from stampers because we can make it cheap enough for them to make profit by just moving our parts.
Right.
Compared to their big stamping equipment.
What sort of things what sort of value add are you putting on stamped parts?
No, say it's a little bracket
that
they make a die for and they stamp it. I can make it cheaper than they can.
Just cutting
against a press that's on a coil. Bang, bang, bang.
Wow.
It really, I mean, in a
Same
way,
part.
Same part.
Yeah.
in a way, high volume has become kind of, you're redefining it in terms of the way like traditional people thought about it. I would imagine.
Yeah, we don't have to. I think that's another thing that slows a lot of companies down is they're chasing small work to try to fill gaps. We don't have to because we're always at high volume and max capacity.
Yeah, you don't have gaps.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're working weekends when we have. My guys beg for the weekends.
Yeah. So they don't mind putting in the OT.
No.
That's a good thing to
Yeah.
have.
We just had Annette. I think she's the VP of Trump. She just came through our shop last week.
Yeah, right.
And Annette Doyle. And she was super impressed with our employees. She's like, that's the first thing I do. I look at the employees, see if they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Our guys are always happy. And then they look at how clean the shop is. She's like, it's spotless.
Yeah.
So.
And you had mentioned before we started recording that you kind of surprised Trump a little bit in terms of I think specifically you mentioned the amount of material you're putting through their machine.
Exactly.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah. So I don't know who it was, but someone just did an article with Trump for the Fabricator talking about the 24K. Do you need the kilowatt power?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's your
And
cousin.
Who was it? Who was it with? Was that? Who was the?
You know what?
I can't think of his
my
name
brain
right
has
now.
been so full lately. I can't remember the name.
I can't think of his name, but I was reading that article and I was laughing because the Trump employee was saying that this machine is made for heavy plate. That's where you're going to make the most money, and
Right.
this is what it. And I'm just laughing. I actually called my salesman and I'm like, "What is this? Like, nobody's doing what we're doing." And that's the thing. We're pushing it harder than anybody. There's
Right.
nobody pushing it harder.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
you're
don't-
pushing against the stereotype, and I think what they're, at that level, they're saying, hey, this is what we created the machine for. These are the specific uses that we envision for this machine, and you guys are going to turn that on its head.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more remarkable since you're even surprising the OEM.
Well,
So
you
Brett Thompson.
yeah, Brett.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's
Thank
who it
you.
was.
But I think some early adopters of that technology knew that with a higher kilowatts, they could plow through the thin. And that's why you keep seeing this thing creeping up, is that not only does it give you the power to cut the thicker, which is what you first think of, but it's still that much more quick. And lead times, better delivery times, better customer relationships. It kind of ties in together.
Correct.
But
yeah.
I don't know if anybody's totally focused on a business model solely on that aspect of it, though.
I don't think anybody is.
Yeah.
And Trump did it right with that 24 kilowatt. You can shape the beam with it.
Right.
So
Right.
your gas usage is. I'm using the same amount of gas, dollar wise, per month as I was with my 6K, but I'm putting 8 to 10x more parts out.
Yeah. Wow.
Because of the ability to customize it.
Yeah.
And
So are you leaning on manufacturing specs for the machine, or have you kind of developed your own approach?
So we use all their tech tables. I can't think of his name right now, but I just talked to the guy last week, the guy that developed all the technology tables for the 24 kilowatt, and he's a super nice guy and gave me a lot of insight on it. But we can run faster than their spec.
Mm-hmm.
So, like 14 gauge, 12 gauge aluminum, we're doing
Yeah.
like 3,000 inches per minute, clean, no
No
burr.
kidding. Wow. Is there a fear of pushing the machine too much?
No, Trump's support is top notch.
Yeah.
Any issue, they're on the phone instantly, or they're at our shop. Because my opinion is we're still beta testing it. There's nobody running it like us.
Yeah.
They're out there everywhere, but everyone's running 1/2 inch, 1 inch plate.
Right.
There's nobody pushing it like this. So we're the guinea pigs, and it's taking it.
You said you were adjusting your gas mix as well.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about
So we got a Liberty gas mixer
Yeah.
that we bought with the machine. Anything 1/4 inch and thicker steel, we are gas mixing. So you're running high pressure nitrogen, and we're adding about 4.5% of oxygen in it. So it's smoothing out the cut, but you're also cutting faster.
that? Mm-hmm.
So you can push 1/4 inch steel at 1,100 inches per minute.
Wow. So when you said a Liberty mixer, are you generating nitrogen on site as well?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're using that from tanks.
Yeah, the laser is so efficient that you couldn't justify it. I've
Yeah.
tried to justify one at Aaron's company and Alliance. With a Trump laser, it's so efficient that you're talking 3, 4, 5 year payback on a gas mixer. You might as well just pay for the gas.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm encouraged about starting my own shop soon. Do you have a spare 5-10 million I can borrow?
I got a family member you can talk to.
Can you throw in contacts as well as a good training program for these young people I need to bring into my shop? Man, you've dialed it in. Are you as good with other things outside of the metal fabricating world in terms of setting goals?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to, like my race car, I'm trying to, make 2,500 horsepower and be able to go down the street with it. How many people are doing that?
Not enough.
Yeah.
When you say race car, that means you have to race somebody. You can't race yourself. I guess you can race yourself, though. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. No, it's...
Aren't you kind of red flagging yourself for the Manitowoc Police Department here?
Yeah, I know. Pretty much. Yeah. But, there's a lot of things like that. Like, we just got a new house, me and my wife, and this house we bought in Brillion, it was about 8-9 years ago. We were trick-or-treating in Brillion with my kids, and I looked at this house, beautiful house with 10 acres right in the city of Brillion, and I told them, one day we're going to own that house, and we bought it last year.
That's funny.
So
how does one go trick-or-treating in a neighborhood with 8 to 10 acre properties?
It's
like a busy road?
Nobody else has
kids
that.
Off?
Just mine has that. Everybody else has got little city lots.
Oh, okay. So. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to add, Gareth?
No, I think covered it all.
I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the truck, but
yeah,
1930 or the 1935 Ford. Yeah.
Your dad still work on cars, or is he kind of like?
Yeah, he did. Well, his own.
Yeah.
I think he actually just picked up another 1930 pickup.
No kidding.
Yeah. And he has a 1966 also that we did.
Do they go faster than 18 miles an hour?
I think it's like 30.
Okay.
What's the
You're
66?
stepping up in the world.
It's a C10 Chevy with
that's pretty sweet.
with a LS1 in it.
Oh.
So all fuel injected. He's driven it he's probably got 100,000 miles on that around the country.
That's awesome.
You guys going to drag race in Manitowoc?
Nah, he won't keep
Yeah, I was
up.
about to say.
It won't happen.
He's reached the point now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wisdom comes with age.
So he's fully retired. Is he still hanging around the shop and you have to get him out of there sometimes?
No, but I don't know if you ever met Grandpa Roger. No. Well, I think I talked to you about him, but my Grandpa Roger, I think he's I don't even know, 93 now. Every day he's in there.
Wow. That's
Just
awesome.
saying hi. And then he had the original body shop.
Yeah.
He started in
Okay.
the
Same location?
70s. Nope, different
Okay.
location. But that's where my dad learned, and then my
Yeah.
dad started his own. But yeah, he comes in every day.
Wow. Yeah.
Does he ever run any of the machines?
No, pacemaker. You don't want to get too close.
Oh,
to
sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah. That's a good reason.
And you're calling other customer support.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Medtronic.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us today, Matt. And if you want to learn more about Brunner Fabrication, if you have the right volume, give Matt a call. What's that website or phone number?
Well, we're in Manitowoc. Our phone number 920-686-1278, or you can go to brunnerfab.com and check us out.
I'm not sure why I asked for the phone number, but
Well, you did. You can call me. We'll answer. High volume only, please.
That means we should get our own hotline for the podcast.
I'll be honest with you. We're trying to get rid of a car at our house. My wife's like, why don't you call it 1-800-CAR for kids? I'm like, I will never give them anything because of the commercial.
Because of the song?
Yes. Well, what do you? Not the commercial itself. Yes, the song.
Dan hates children.
I just hate other people's children. That's not true either. All right. Wow. This is really collapsed. Fine conversation collapsed into this. So,
Yeah.
If you have any comments, questions, complaints, please go to podcast@fmamfg.org. And you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Please rate, recommend, review, and be nice to your fellow man. See y'all. Bye.
Take care.
The Fabricator Podcast is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, located in Elgin, Illinois. The show is hosted by Dan Davis and the staff of FMA Communications. The podcast is produced by Gareth Slager and recorded and edited by Griffin Hammond and Dana Weicker. Sales support provided by Andy Flando. Additional production support by Elizabeth Gavin, Mike Owens, Billy Kolpa, Pat Simon, Brandon Geyer, and me, Sarah Spring. Email us at podcast@fmamfg.org. Thank you for listening.